What up, Homedawgs? My name is Gokey Gamer, and welcome everybody to week 1 of the NBBL Season 7, where this week we're taking on Oro, coach of the Miami Masterpieces. Obviously, you can see the matchup on here already. I'm not going to go into too much of the team previews stuff because that's on my Ko-fi page, so check out my Ko-fi page if you haven't already. If you want the team preview, it is available for all members. Anyways, back to what we were talking about before. You might be realizing this now, but this is a post-commentary battle because I accidentally messed up the audio, so that's great. I might interject with a little bit of live commentary, but probably not because I do not have the time to really heavily edit that. So we're just doing this today, and I'm probably playing some Glitch City in the background. So, yeah, as you can see, this matchup is very, very terrifying. This was actually one of the 3 teams that was the S-ranked. We were one as well, and then my week 2 opponent was also the 3rd one ranked S. So very, very tough couple games, but yeah, this team is absolutely terrifying. We have got, like, the Tera Captains are obviously really, really scary. Ting Lu plus Palafin is such a scary combo. Enamorous Therian, Cyclozar, Dust Noir, like, all these Pokemon are so immensely scary. This is a really, really cool team to be going up against, and obviously I'm a little bit scared. But I have the team that I think is going to do really well, and, yeah, so we're just going to hop into it really quickly. So we see my opponent has brought the Okidogi, Ting Lu, Delphox, Palafin, Hisuian Avalugg, and Jolteon. This is a really, really scary team to be going up against. I was very, very scared. The Tera Captains, I literally say this in the commentary, the Tera Captains, all 3 of them being here is what terrifies me the most, because all 3 Tera Captains are really, really terrifying. But I still have my plan, I'm still rocking out with it, and I'm really, really hoping it pops off. So, my lead here is always going to be my Colossal. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start playing this here. You can see me, you'll see me talking in the corner, so you still get my face cam, you still get face cam here. We are going to see that Jolteon is the lead. I was expecting a Palafin lead, so I decided to lead Volga. Obviously, I'm clicking Terra Grass immediately here. There is 0 reason for me not to at this point. I'm setting up my rocks. I originally had spikes on this, and then I last minute changed it to stealth rocks, and I'm really glad that I did that now. We are going to go ahead and click rocks. I explained my plan here. I was really proud of my commentary, so I'm sad it got a little bit messed up. But you know what? It is what it is. We click Terra Grass, Stealth Rocks. We are also Flash Fire by this point, specifically for the Delphox, because I realized Delphox looks extremely scary into my team. So I decided, especially once Colossal Terras. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to run Flash Fire. I'm going to run Tera Grass. This does a lot of work versus Delphox, Ting Lu, Palafin. It's really good into my opponent's team here. And obviously, it'll come in handy against the Jolteon too. I'm really expecting this to be Volt Switch. I'm a bit concerned about Quick Feet, like Flame Orb Quick Feet. I could see that as a set to outspeed the Chien-Pao, as long as I'm not Scarfed, which why would you run Scarf on Chien-Pao? Chien-Pao is the fastest thing on the field, naturally. We are just going to see a Volt Switch, which is a bit unfortunate. It does a decent amount of damage, but we also reveal that the Life Orb is there, which is really, honestly, really good for me, because obviously I can tank this. I also have Virizion in the back as well with a lot of natural Spadef bulk, and I was also running the Weakness Policy, just in case I really needed it. Virizion is mainly there just to get some chip and maybe pop off with a couple of Kales, but Virizion is never going to be like the standout of the team. It's mainly just there just in case it popped off. Yeah, we're going to see that my opponent decides to bring in Hisuian Avalugg. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I immediately set up my rocks, and then I decide, you know what? I do not want this thing rapid spinning in my face. I'm going to switch into my PECHARUNT. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what the results of that were. I switch it to PECHARUNT here, bada bing, bada boom. This is a hard swap, and we see Mountain Gale, which unfortunately misses. Very, very sad for my opponent. And I'm like, okay, you know what, that's fine, I'm okay with this. I click Parting Shot because I'm like, okay, you're going to swap out here. You can't rapid spin at this point. You're going to go ahead and switch out here. So predicting the swap, I see that happens, and I go for the Parting Shot. We see Ting Lu come in. Ting Lu is always going to be the swap against PECHARUNT because PECHARUNT can't do anything to Ting Lu. Ting Lu is always like the hard counter to PECHARUNT. The nice thing about PECHARUNT in this game, Nasty Plot PECHARUNT goes so hard once Ting Lu is chipped because of the fact that my opponent has 0 steel types against me. So I can just run Malignant Chain and just spam it, which is really, really, really powerful in a game like this. So here, I have a Ting Lu switch in myself. It is Mandibuzz. So I switch into Mandibuzz here for free every single time. I'm half expecting hazards to go up here, which makes me a little bit concerned. I expect a swap. So I'm going to go for after quite a bit of debating, I go for a knockoff, which I actually didn't realize, but it does pop off here. I fire off the knockoff. I didn't realize I clicked it that fast, but I was expecting a swap here because obviously you don't want this thing getting toxic. They just go for Ruination, which is fine. I'm okay with this. They go for Ruination, does exactly half. This thing loses its leftovers, which is obviously very nice. So here, I'm like, okay, if you want to stay in versus me, I'm going to click Toxic. I don't think Okie is coming in against this Mon. And, if I Toxic this thing, then, that's great. This time they end up swapping, but it's not into Okie, it's instead back into his Nuzlocke. This is massive for me, because if this thing is Tera Steel, which, spoiler alert, it was, as I found out later, but this thing can no longer outstall PECHARUNT. PECHARUNT sits in front of this thing now. Like, Tera Steel is going to do nothing to it. So I'm like, okay, this is really, really great. I immediately can just switch into PECHARUNT here and be fine. So I just make that play, easiest read of my life, as my opponent reveals that they have Stealth Rocks on this set, and they're going to set it up here on the Mandibuzz, predicting the swap, which makes sense. A little bit annoying, especially for Mandibuzz because of the Rocky helmets, but you know what? We can work around it. We have Rapid Spin and we have Defog. Obviously, I want to click Rapid Spin over Defog, so eventually at some point, I'm really going to want to switch Colossal back in to fire off a Rapid Spin. But thankfully, we have Jolteon we can do that against, we have Ting Lu we can do that against, and we have Palafin that we can do that against. So Colossal, honestly, here looks phenomenal, especially with the heavy-duty boots. So we're really chilling right now. And at this point, I'm like, okay, you can't do anything to me. And this time, I'm like, you might just stay in. I'm aware of Mirror Coping a possibility, but I'm like, you know what? You might just stay in here and try to go for damage. I'm going to fire off a Nasty Plot, which is exactly what I do. I fire off the Nasty Plot just to see, and I can always Parting Shot from the Ting Lu. Now that the Ting Lu is the switch, I can always just Parting Shot. We do see Mirror Coat here, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm okay with this. Unfortunately, by this point, the roll of Malignant Chain is not going to kill, so I instead go for Nasty Plot again. I go for Nasty Plot again to guarantee the KO. They do opt to stay in this time, and they go for a Mountain Gale once again, which this time it does land, but it doesn't do that much damage because we are max HP and we just have such amazing natural bulk. So, in our physical defense. So, it gets chipped down even more. I'm like, okay, there's no reason for me to just not click Malignant Chain here. I click Malignant Chain. Avalugg goes down. This is absolutely massive for me because my opponent has no form of hazard removal. So now, all I need to do is get Colossal in, Rapid Spin, and then, the rocks are up on the field for the rest of the game. And the other nice thing as well is, if Ting Lu doesn't bring hazards here, then, the rest of the team doesn't have hazards, which is also really, really nice. So the sooner I get the rocks off the field, the better. And if Ting Lu does opt to set up hazards, then that tells me a lot more information about the Ting Lu and what sets it could be, which is really, really good for me. So my opponent is very clearly taking their time here. Obviously, they could go into Delphox. I am at +4. I think the face I'm making there, I'm thinking I might be talking about the Delphox here, actually. If Delphox comes in, that could be really, really annoying. My opponent doesn't know my speed tier yet. Fun fact, I am guarantee outspeed Okie, and I even outspeed an Adamant Palafin. So if I outspeed Palafin, that tells me a lot of crucial information about it. So, possible information for down the line. We see Ting Lu come in, which is obviously really good information. Take some chip. Obviously, that's guaranteed chip now that the lefties are gone. And here, I just go for Parting Shot every single time. There's no point in me risking the Malignant Chain, not popping its, there's no reason for me to try for the, poison. There's zero reason for it. And if my opponent is, max attack Adamant, then Earthquake will kill me. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to Parting Shot here, and I'm going to go back into Mandibuzz. The reason I go into Mandibuzz here and not Colossal is because I can guarantee Roost against this thing. Now, if my opponent had doubled into Jolteon here, that would have been really unfortunate. But thankfully, they don't do that. They just go for the obvious Earthquake into Mandibuzz. So I'm like, okay, this is great. I'm thinking about going for Defog here, but I realize at this point in the game, this is the only thing I'm going to be able to recover my HP against. And if I can get Colossal, I'm literally talking about it right now, if I can get Colossal into the game, I can guarantee click Rapid Spin on something they don't have a spin blocker, and I can get rid of the rocks on my side, allowing Mandibuzz to come in at 75% HP guaranteed. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to click Roost here. They do swap out here. My guess is into Jolteon is my prediction as I click Roost. And then the nice thing is, if they go into Jolteon here, then I have Colossal I can switch into, and I have my Virizion that I can switch into. So they switch into Jolteon here as we go for Roost. And now I have a choice to make. I can either send in Colossal to go for a Rapid Spin, Or I can switch it to Virizion. Now, because Virizion has Synthesis, I actually decided to go into Virizion here. The reason being is because, again, like I said, Synthesis, and that way I'm predicting a Volt Switch here, is basically what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Volt Switch has to pop off here, so just that way predicting the Colossal Switch. And also we don't take barely any chip from the rocks. We do see an alluring voice, though. At this point, I really, really wish that I had Zen Headbutts. I was really debating between Zen Headbutt or Stone Edge here. Unfortunately, I did opt to go with Stone Edge. The reason being is because Delphox, again, like I said in this game, really terrified me. And PECHARUNT, at this point in the game, is still relatively healthy. PECHARUNT can 1v1 Okie Dokie. It might not seem like it, but it really can, you know, because Okie Dokie can't do anything against it. Even if it Tera Darks, like, it still can't do anything. Because PECHARUNT has the Cobra Berry, I can just set up nasty plots in front of its face and not die. And, like, I can 1v1 that very reliably. And even if PECHARUNT goes down, I can still switch in something else, and something else can handle it instead. So we do see the Volt Switch here. As I fire off a close combat for free, I'm fully expecting the Okie Dokie to come in. I think my opponent takes some time to think about this play. Obviously my +2. Now granted, I do not have any attack investment in this set. The reason I ran weakness policy here was just in case it happened to pop off, and I can pick up a few free KOs, because Virizion's speed tier in this matchup is really, really, really good. Basically, you know, there's a couple things that outsped it, like Ogerpon and the, obviously, Jolteon. But both of those mons do not have the best matchup into Virizion. The most I can do is, like, play rough with Ogerpon, and, you know, obviously that has the chance to miss. So, you know, it's not the most reliable. So we see Ooh Banana, and that is the Okie Dokie, which is obviously very terrifying in and of itself. We go for the close combat. Bada bing, bada boom. It does a decent chunk of damage, reveals that it is somewhat bulky, which is good to know. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to switch out here. We see that they heal. I don't think I noticed it now, but it will come up later. The item that Okie Dokie had, the Black Sludge. Keep this in mind at some point. I don't think I noticed it here, but I could just really go into Rotted Core, because Rotted Core is just always my switch in for this thing. If it's AV, Knockoff will never KO me. It never does enough. So I'm like, okay, PECHARUNT here is just the freest switch. Again, I have Cobra Berry in case they Tera Dark knockoff. I'm fully expecting Tera Dark to be in this matchup, but I think Tera Dark by far looks the best. At this point in the game, I'm really scared of Tera Fairy Delphox as well. Tera Fairy Delphox is very, very scary into me, so I am keeping that in the back of my mind as well. There is also Tera Grass Delphox and Tera Fire Delphox. I don't think Tera Fire Delphox is the play here. I think Tera Fairy is better, specifically to resist the Dark-type attacks from Qianpao, which is the obvious play. I also found out later on that Delphox was Tera Fairy as well, so that is something to keep in mind too. We switch out Virizion, we go into PECHARUNT finally, and we're going to see this Okie Dokie go for a bulk up, I believe, here. No, they actually swap. Well, I spoiled the set a little bit. They double, which is fine. I'm okay with that. We see Stonefree the Palafin surprisingly come in. I'm like, okay, this is fine. I'm going to go for a recover here, take the flip turn chip, and just go with that. So, because obviously this thing can't do anything to me. So, I go for recover here, and I was still very interested in that play. They set this in against a +2 Virizion. So, I guess they were really counting on the switch, but, or, you know what, it's fine. And then we see here, we outspeed. And this is where I make that explanation. I'm like, oh my gosh, we outspeed. Wait a minute, hold on. That tells me a lot of information, because that tells me that this is in fact not timid or jolly, it is adamant. So that's really, really good. Now we see the Delphox come in, which is what I was terrified of. But the nice thing about this is that it is revealed that it is Boots. So I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy to see Boots on this set. I think about a couple of plays here. Florges, unfortunately, none of the Pokemon that Florges was mainly here for really came. It was mainly here for Cyclizar, if I'm being honest. But Cyclizar obviously didn't come. I was really expecting Cyclizar to be here. I thought Cyclizar had a pretty good matchup into me. But obviously it didn't come, so you know what? It is what it is. Florges was actually a max defense set with the Rocky Helmet to hopefully tank hits better. But here I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to just predict the Fire Blast. We do see the Fire Blast here. Flash Fire coming in clutch. We really love to see it. Now, granted, this does tell my opponent a lot of useful information about me. But the nice thing about this, the reason I made this play is so that way I can just freely go for a Rapid Spin here, no matter what. If Delphox stays in, it risks a Stone Edge. If it switches out, I get Rapid Spin for free. Like, this is just really, really good information. So, you know, again, this also reveals the Boots, so I'm not near as scared of this anymore. I was really afraid of a Choice Scarf set in particular, or even like a Choice Specs. I am still very scared of a Calm Mind or Flame Charge set as well. That is in the back of my mind. We do see a Psychic here, which does tells me some information about the damage that this thing is doing. It's very offensive, so that's good to know because Psychic did that much. We finally get rid of the rocks for good, and I'm like, okay, I do want to save Colossal at this point for the Fire Immunity, because Fire Immunity on this team is really, really valuable. I think about switching into Mandibuzz here on the Psychic, but I am scared of whatever coverage this thing might have. So I'm like, you know, and obviously Mandibuzz doesn't enjoy taking a Fire Blast, and I do still want Mandibuzz around for things like the Palafin and the Ting-Lu, especially the Ting-Lu. I really want Mandibuzz around for Ting-Lu. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about my play here. What do I want to do? Let's see here. I can't remember what exactly to do. Do I stay in here? I might actually stay in. I'm not going to lie. Because obviously I do want to keep Colossal around, but I might just switch. I might go for the Stone Edge here, predicting hopefully they over-predict, or that I barely live. Because I think there is a chance, there is a world where I do live this Psychic. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to risk the Psychic here. We do see the swap as I go for Stone Edge here, and we're going to see that the Jolteon comes in, which is amazing for me, because I'm like, okay, if I land the Stone Edge, this thing is dead, which is amazing. So we fire off the Stone Edge, and we do, thankfully, connect. Jolteon goes down, and that is first blood of the match, and a kill for Colossal. Very, very poetic that my best Terramon, like, ever, that I'm able to use gets the first kill of the season, which is obviously very nice. It's very nice to have Colossal on the team. Very much enjoy it. We are going to see that this thing hits the field. It takes a little bit more chip from the rocks, which I'm like, okay, that's fine. My switch in here is always PECHARUNT. You can go for knockoff. You can go for whatever you want. PECHARUNT completely walls this thing. Like, hard walls. So I'm not worried about this thing at all. And I'm kind of talking about that here. I'm half expecting a poison move to pop off here, so, you know, I'm keeping that in the back of my mind too. Like, there's probably going to be a Gunk Shot here. They might not go for Gunk Shot, predicting the PECHARUNT, but again, this thing really can't do anything to PECHARUNT. The most it can do is Tera Knockoff, and Tera Knockoff isn't even, like, you know, they're going to do that much because of the Colbur Berry. So I can just switch in PECHARUNT for free. Like, literally, that's just what it comes down to. Also, the fact that the rocks are gone now puts me in a very, very good position defensively. So that way I can keep playing around, switching out into better matchups. And my opponent is slowly going to take chip. If I'm somehow able to get the boots off of Delphox, that would be even better for me. But realistically, that's not going to happen as much as I can dream, because why would you switch into Delphox on a Mandibuzz, or stay in? So I go into PECHARUNT here, and we see Bulk Up. This is probably the scariest set that I could see here, which is, you know, a little bit concerning, but I'm still not afraid of this thing, because I can still, like, I have the Colbur Berry. Like, it still not going to do that much damage to me. Like, even if you continue to set up. Overall, I can just spam Nasty Plot against this thing and just keep dealing chip. If they Tera, then they lose their resistance to Malignant Chain. If they don't Tera, they're not doing near as much damage with the Tera Dark. Now, I think about going into Florges here, but Florges doesn't outspeed, so I don't do that. So I just go for Nasty Plot here. It's a very free Nasty Plot, and I think at this point, I don't know if I notice it yet. I think I noticed it this turn, the item that the Okie Dokie is holding. I'll wait to talk about that a bit more after this play. So I click Nasty Plot here, just to see what my opponent wants to go for. And we are going to see another Bulk Up. So I'm like, okay, my opponent's really setting up in my face. This is fine. But we're at +2/+2, Malignant Chain. I'm still doing okay. Like, this matchup is still favorable for me. So I'm like, okay, this is fine. And here's where I noticed the Black Sludge. So this tells me a lot of useful information, mainly the fact this thing is probably not going to Tera, because of the fact that it doesn't have Tera. My opponent doesn't have Tera Poison. Because of the fact that they don't have Tera Poison, they have, you know, like, they have Black Sludge. The fact that they have Black Sludge means, like, if they Tera, they're going to take chip damage, and I know that for a fact. So that's really good for me at this point in the game, because I'm like, okay, I can just continue to set up in front of this thing. You can go for knockoff, I can still take that really well. I still take a +2 knockoff very, very, very well. If you Tera Dark, I outspeed this thing, which is why I ran speed investment in this thing. One of the reasons, obviously Paladin was the other reason, but big reason I wanted to run speed investment on PECHARUNT here is to outspeed Okie Dokie. So they go for the swap here, which I'm like, that's fine with me. They're probably going into Delphox here. They do go into Delphox. As I said, another Nasty Plot. Now, I did think about this, and part of me really wanted to click Parting Shot, predicting that, but unfortunately, Delphox is the mon that comes in here. If I clicked Parting Shot there, then I would have obviously swapped into either Colossal or Mandibuzz. Probably Colossal here, so I can fire off another free Stone Edge, but obviously that brings an Okie Dokie back in, you know, and then we're back to square one a little bit. So, here I think about going into Mandibuzz, predicting the Psychic play this time, because now my opponent knows that Flash Fire is not a safe option into me. And I'm like, okay, I could do this. I could go into Florges, because Florges has a lot of naturals but Def Bulk. I'm really thinking about this play. I don't know what my opponent wants to go for here. I also, you know, again, I know the items, I know they're not choice locked, so I decide, you know what, I'm going to make the play into Mandibuzz. I don't need Mandibuzz heavily in this matchup, because obviously Mandibuzz can't really touch Okidogi, because I'm not running a flying type move. So I'm like, okay, Mandibuzz, I don't need Mandibuzz here anymore. And they go for the Dazzling Gleam, which is a really, really good play by my opponent, and I'm like, okay, Mandibuzz is probably going to go down here at this point. I don't really need Mandibuzz now. So I'm like, okay, like, Mandibuzz is good for Ting Lu, don't get me wrong, but I also do have Virizion in the back for Ting Lu, and Virizion here looks much, much better. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna Roost here on the off chance that they overpredict. They do go for Fire Blast to cover a switch, but they do land it, and they do crit me, which is a bit unfortunate. Mandibuzz goes down. Obviously, the crit did not matter there, based on how much damage the Dazzling Gleam did. But I'm like, okay, that's planned sack, that's fine. I went for Roost there, hoping, you know, that it would happen. I debated on going to Chien-Pao here, but I'm like, okay, do I try and bait out the Tera, or do I just go into Florges? And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go into, I believe what I do here is I go into Florges, yes. Because I'm like thinking about, okay, do I want to go into Chien-Pao to fire off a Crunch? No, because they could Tera Fairy, and I don't want to play those games. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to set up a Calm Mind here, which is exactly what I do. The main thing that I want to do here eventually at some point is I do want to get Chip on this thing. But I obviously want to be able to tank hits too. And you've seen Psychic now, so we're like, okay, it doesn't have Psyshock, that's fine. I'm going to Calm Mind here. So I set up a Calm Mind to +1, which is great. Just in case my opponent opts to switch, I'm going to go ahead and go for a Draining Kiss here. I believe is my next play. I don't think I go for Moonblast here. I think I go for Draining Kiss. Obviously, my opponent wants to keep the Fire type now because Florges is such a good wall into Delphox. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I think I'm calculating here to see how much damage Draining Kiss does. Draining Kiss still does a large chunk of damage. I can always tank a Fire Blast here. So I think what I do here is go for Draining Kiss to recover HP. I'm pretty sure is what I do, just in case they go for another attack, or they go for like Calm Mind or something like that. At this point, I'm realizing that my game plan should be getting Chip on this thing. So I think here I go for a Draining Kiss. Yes, I do. And then my opponent reveals their final move, Encore, which is really, really good information to know because of the fact that, okay, this thing doesn't have Calm Mind. It doesn't have setup. It just has 3 attacks and Encore. That's it. Which makes this thing a lot less scary in the end game. It makes it so much scarier. It doesn't have Flame Charge. It doesn't have Calm Mind. It makes it so much easier. I debate about going into Virizion here to just sack it at this point because obviously I do not like the fact that I am locked into Encore. But I'm like, you know what? As much as Palafin is still scary, I still have PECHARUNT, I still have Chien-Pao, I still have other threats. So I'm like, I'm okay with making the switch into Colossal. I also still have Virizion. Virizion outspeeds Palafin and actually also outspeeds Delphox. So I'm like, Virizion is an endgame preventer. Like, it's to prevent my opponent from sweeping me. They go for Dazzling Gleam, and Volga lives like the absolute MVP she is. I go for Stone Edge just in case they try to overpredict. They don't. They go for Dazzling Gleam. Makes sense. And then I die. Very unfortunate. Colossal really put in a lot of work here. So I was very, very proud of how Colossal did in this game. Setting up the rocks. The rocks have been so massive in gathering intel and chipping my opponent's team down. It's been amazing. So here I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into Chien-Pao to try and bait the Tera. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and bait the Tera because I'm really thinking that this thing is going to Tera because of the fact that Okidogi is not going to Tera, surely, if it has the Black Sludge. It was never meant to Tera. So I decide, you know what? I'm going to go into Florges. Florges covers a switch. Florges covers a Tera type. Terrestrialization, I should say. And then I can finally bait out, okay, this is what this thing is going for, basically. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to switch into Florges here and go with that play. You know, again, trying to bait the Tera, all that fun stuff. And I take a sip of my coffee. My opponent is really thinking about this play, obviously, because there is a Chien-Pao on the other side of the battlefield. Chien-Pao is very, very scary. Very, 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 very scary Pokemon. We switch out Chien-Pao, though, and we go into Polymaker back at the Florges to see what my opponent wants to click here and see if they Tera. They don't Tera. They go for Encore. I think they were thinking about trying to lock me into Ice Spinner. It was still a very interesting play. Either that or they were thinking about clicking Swords Dance. I was never going to click Swords Dance even if I had it here. The Fire Blast miss is very unfortunate here because it allows me to get some very crucial chip. As you can tell, we fire off another Moonblast here because I'm just spamming Moonblast at this point. Fortress is meant to really chip. I was hoping it would be a sweeper, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. This time they land their second Fire Blast and I go for Moonblast. This Moonblast is crucial because of the fact that now, even with, you know, even if they Tera Fairy, Chien-Pao being just so insanely bulky can just kill this thing. They go for Psychic here. I'm like, I might live, but I don't. Very unfortunate, very sad, because obviously I went for Synthesis. Now, I don't know if going for Synthesis there was the right play. I think the play would have just been get more chip. But now I can just very freely go into Chien-Pao. Now, granted, if Delphox is max HP, which is a concern of mine, if it is max HP, I could do that. Like, you know, they could live, basically, is what I'm trying to say. They could live. It's low roll, but they could live. But I'm like, okay, no. There's no way you're bulky because of the fact that, based on how much damage you're doing, and also because you need that speed investment, I think you really need that speed investment. So I'm like, and if you don't have that speed investment, then PECHARUNT can come in and outspeed you. So I'm like, okay, this is the safe play to make. Crunch kills the Delphox. So Chien-Pao is looking really, really, really solid here. Obviously, Palafin can come in 0 to hero, which is very, very scary. Palafin is, in fact, what comes in here, as you can see here. So we see the Palafin. I just went ahead and skipped ahead because why not? I'm doing some calcs here to figure out what my best play is. I'm thinking about Sucker Punch, but I'm also really worried about this Pokemon clicking Substitute. So right now I'm calculating to see if I can live a Jet Punch. Thankfully, because my Chien-Pao has defense investment, specifically for Jet Punch, I realize that I can live an Adamant Jet Punch 100% of the time, so I go for a Crunch here, because I don't want this thing setting up a sub in front of me. Now granted, they could set up a sub and then click Jet Punch next turn, but that's still fine. Actually no, not even, because I outspeed, obviously. So I go for a Crunch here. It could even pick up the kill depending on the spread. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna click Crunch here. Bada bing, bada boom. Nearly picks up the KO, which is absolutely insane. And they go for Drain Punch. So we lose all of our HP investment to the Drain Punch, which is unfortunate. And, you know, they restore a decent amount of HP. But while Chien-Pao does go down here, it gets a lot of really crucial chip against the Palafin. And that also reveals most likely that it is, you know, a physical variant. Now, I only have 2 Pokemon left, but my opponent has 3. Ting-Lu, Palafin, and Okidogi. Okidogi is the scariest thing on the field right now. I need Virizion alive as long as Ting-Lu is alive. I actually go into PECHARUNT here because I'm like, okay, I outspeed this thing. I do not want to give Okidogi a free switch. This is why I went into PECHARUNT instead of Virizion, because Virizion, unfortunately, cannot touch Okidogi. So I'm like, I want to prevent Okidogi from coming in at all costs. So I'm going to click Malignant. I debate about what move I should click. I'm like, okay, I always outspeed. You never kill me with a Wave Crash into Jet Punch. And even then, like, a Wave Crash would still, like, it would chip enough to where Malignant Chain would kill it outright the following turn. So I'm like, this is fine. I'm very okay with this. So I click Malignant Chain here. I outspeed this thing guaranteed, which is obviously really coming in clutch now. It gave me so much information on the Palafin. This PECHARUNT set was really MVP this week because I found out so much really crucial intel about the set. So I go for Malignant Chain here, bada bing, bada boom. It does a decent chunk of damage, not near as much as I was hoping it would, but we do get the 50% chance to poison, which means our ability triggers, and then this Palafin is now confused as well, which is obviously really amazing for me. So, you know, Palafin is basically dead at this point, which is obviously very, very nice. Unfortunately, they don't hit themselves in confusion, and they instead go for a flip turn, so they avoid the poison chip as well. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. They're going into Ting-Lu here, most likely. I can Parting Shot for free into Virizion. Even if the Okidogi comes in here, I can still, like, the Parting Shot still is fine because my opponent does not have Clear Amulet. This is a really safe play for me to make. So Ting-Lu comes in, obviously, and it's like, okay, that's fine. I just go into Virizion, and if they switch, that's fine. Parting Shot will always switch out second, and it will always get out the drop to whatever wants to switch back in. If they had gone into Palafin here, I think that would have been the worst case scenario. Thankfully, they don't. They instead stay in with Ting-Lu, so I know, okay, they're firing off an attack versus me. That's fine. I can go into Virizion here, and the nice thing about this Virizion set, while I do not have anything to hit Okidogi with, the reason I don't is because I have Synthesis. This thing was meant to be a chipper. That's what Virizion was meant to do. And in this particular case, it's coming in very handy because A, I outspeed Palafin, and B, I completely wall any Ting Lu set as long as it doesn't have Zen Headbutt. And Ting Lu never runs Zen Headbutt. You very rarely see Zen Headbutt on a Ting Lu. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen Zen Headbutt on a Ting Lu. Granted, it could happen, and I am concerned about that a little bit later, but it's fine. They go into Ting Lu, or they go into Palafin here, which is like, okay, that's fine. I get a synthesis off. We're chilling. We're doing okay. We are fine. So, we restore quite a bit of our HP, which is very, very nice. Paladin does not die to the poison, unfortunately, so I'm like, okay, do I switch into Pecharunt, or do I just go for the KO? And eventually I decide, you know what, Leaf Blade is going to do a lot to whatever wants to switch in. I'm going for Leaf Blade here. So Paladin picks up the KO, which is, or not Paladin, Virizion picks up the kill, which is very, very nice. And, yes, so, and, yes, sorry. Obviously, the Okie Dokie is what comes in here. I'm like, okay, this is still fine. If you Tera Dark, like, Pecharunt walls this thing at this point. So I'm like, this is fine. This is okay. You cannot kill me. You literally cannot kill me with anything. So I can just go for Nasty Plot here for free. If you click Knockoff, if you click Tera Dark, like, you know, it's still fine. We can tank the hit and we can go for Recover. And the Black Sludge is slowly going to be chipping you down as well, meaning I can just sit in front of this thing, which is obviously my goal. My goal is to just sit in front of this thing. And I do have Leaf Blade. You know, my set is physical, so Bulk Up could be a bit scary here, but Pecharunt just still wins the 1v1. Pecharunt was literally built to wall Okie Dokie. So, and especially because, again, the Black Sludge is active, they do click Tera Dark, which obviously shocks me because I'm like, they have the Black Sludge. Why are they doing this? They're just going to start taking chip. And, you know, makes sense because, you know, they're going to click Tera Dark predicting the swap. It would have been pretty funny if I'd stayed in because I had Justified. That would have been very funny. But, you know, I obviously wasn't going to stay in with Virizion because I need it for Ting Lu. And they obviously click Gunk Shot, which unfortunately they do miss. It doesn't matter though. I quad resist that attack. I'm fine. And then we start seeing the chip from Black Sludge. So I'm like, this is the freest Nasty Plot like button I can click. Or I can even click Recover here. But there's no reason for me to, because I guarantee outspeed this thing. It doesn't get Sucker Punch, which is what I'm checking right now. I am very concerned about Sucker Punch. I'm like, oh god, does this thing get Sucker Punch? It doesn't. And even like if it did, all I need to do is spam Recover and Nasty Plot versus this thing, and I just win the game. So I'm like, okay, I'm clicking Recover here every single time. Alright, no, I click Nasty Plot here. Do I click Nasty Plot? It's one of the two. It's one of the two. I don't remember which one it is. Sorry, I've been talking for a very long time. I've just realized I've been talking for 32 minutes. Anyways, that's besides the point. Gokey, make up your mind. My goodness gracious, we're waiting on you. I'm sure I'm saying something very intelligent. I click Nice Supply here. There's no reason, I'm not risking a crit. Nice Supply is a very free button click. I have the Colbur Berry, I'm fine. They click Knockoff here. We reveal the Colbur Berry. I'm like, okay, this is fine. I'm just going to click the Colbur. You know, like, look at how little damage that did. Look at how little damage that did. And we're continuing to see chip after chip after chip. They can't recover HP with Drain Punch because I am a Ghost type. Pecharunt really carrying this team on his back. It's insane. Here I opt to go for a Recover, just in case on the off chance that this is a bulky Mon and it, like, you know, lives. But the nice thing about this is because of the Tera Dark, Virizion wins the game. Virizion literally just wins the game because Ting Lu can't do anything to Virizion unless it has Zen Headbutt, which is what I'm concerned about here. And we just see a knockoff here, bada bing, bada boom. Doesn't even two-shot, doesn't come anywhere near two-shotting. Black Sludge continues to chip. I'm like, okay, this is the most HP I'm going to be able to get, and I do not want to risk a crit. I'm clicking Malignant Chain here. There's zero reason for me not to at this point, and I just click Malignant Chain. Bada bing, bada boom. Ting Lu, not Ting Lu, the Okie Dokie goes down, which is great. Very much love it. Obviously, the last Pokemon is Ting Lu, and this is at the point where I'm like, okay, can Ting Lu hit Virizion with anything? And then I discover Zen Headbutt. So I'm like, okay, do I, like, how do I play this, basically? Do I play, like, like, what do I do here? You know, kind of thing. So I decide to go for a Recover here to see what this Ting Lu wants to do. Or I think about going for Parting Shot to lower the attack, which obviously also very heavily helps. But I'm like, you know what, I'm going to click Recover here, just to see what this thing wants to do. Because if this thing has Zen Headbutt and it clicks it now, it's going to do a lot of damage. It's going to kill Virizion, most likely. So I'm like, okay, do I really want to do that? I don't know, you know, so I'm really thinking about my play. And eventually, I do click Recover here. I think, I'm going to skip ahead. Do I click Recover here? Yes, I do click Recover here. So yeah, I click Recover here. Obviously, you'll see that they went for Ruination. And, you know, I'm like, okay, that's fine. At this point, now that I've seen Ruination, I'm like, okay, there's no way you have, like, you don't have Zen Headbutt then. You know, like, you have to have Zen Headbutt here. Or like there's no way you do have Zen Headbutt is what I meant to say. So I'm like, okay, this is fine. I go for a parting shot here. Bada bing, bada boom. It's fine. I go into Virizion here, and I go for a Synthesis as they go, I believe they click EQ here, if I remember correctly. I might be remembering incorrectly, but I'm pretty sure they click EQ here. And at 283, I think I still would have lived a Zen Headbutt as long as it was, like, not attack invested anyway, which, by the way, this was being played, it definitely didn't seem attack invested. So they go for Earthquake, you know, so I'm fine. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Barely does anything. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and click Synthesis. I click Synthesis here. Reason being is just in case they have Zen Headbutt, I'm like, okay, I can play around Zen Headbutt if I really need to. I'm really sorry to Oro for doing this. This is literally, like, my best play, though. And then we reveal Rest. I'm like, okay, game over. Like, they have to have Rest Talk, like, you know, for this Tinglu to be really that viable. So I'm like, this is fine. I can just spam Leaf Blade until the cows come home, which is exactly what I ended up doing. I click it once, they go for Earthquake, they reveal that they have the Sleep Talk. I will say, let's see here, critical hit. I did get a critical hit here, which meant I just guaranteed won the game. Leaf Blade, high critical hit ratio, really coming in clutch. And eventually, Tinglu does fall to another Leaf Blade, picking up 2 kills for Virizion, which was very fun, and 2 kills for PECHARUNT as well, giving me a 2-0 victory. Obviously, I could have let PECHARUNT go down against Tinglu, but I wanted to keep the differential as much as I could because I was in a position where I could just easily keep differential. This was a really, really, really fun game. I really enjoyed this game a lot. Again, all my sets played out exactly how I wanted them to, minus Florges. I was disappointed in Florges. Florges was literally just meant to hard punish the Cyclozar, and Florges also just functioned really well as a bulky wall, and also I could spam fairy moves with it. Honestly, I probably could have just swapped in Florges against Tinglu. That might have been a better play at some point, but it is what it is. Florges just really... I was slightly disappointed with Florges. It had a really good matchup into this team, though. It really did. Overall, like, the matchup, but I think, in my opinion, was definitely more so in my favor, just because, again, the no-steal types really helped out Chien-Pao, PECHARUNT, and Florges a lot. Like, the 3 of them just look so good into this team. And obviously, you know, PECHARUNT really, really was the MVP of this game. Aside from Florges, well, Florges did dodge a Fire Blast, which really came in handy, too. So there was that, too. But anyways... I did really wish I had Psychic Fangs. I kind of underestimated Okidogi a little bit. I had Sacred Sword because I was like, well, if you're bringing Okidogi, you're Tera Dark. Like, you have to be Tera Dark here. So that's why I didn't bring Psychic Fangs, because Tera Dark just looked the best into my team, especially for PECHARUNT. And you'll see I'm doing the Peace Out mates here. Yeah, that's it. But, yeah, overall, really, really proud of how I played this game. I guess there's not much more to say. I explained my plays, why I did them, and yeah, it was a really fun game. And I'm really happy to start off the season with a 2-0 victory. Very, very, very nice. Really glad that all my sets popped off. It was very fun. But yeah, thank you all again so much for watching. I really, really hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below about my battling and how I did. Let me know what you think about the team as well. I'm really, really excited to be using this team. I think it is so OP, but I'm really, really happy with how my team turned out, and I think it's going to really, I think it has the chance to make it all the way. But it's too early, it is early, so we'll see. Thank you all so much for watching, though. I really, really hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Peace out, mates!